This sanctioning body president is not a disinterested party. He, as he's claiming, I'm not. He has business interests he clearly feels, in my opinion, are threatened by a shifting landscape in boxing. And I am a part of that shifting landscape. It ain't business as usual anymore, where these cancerous sanctioning body cells drain the life out of the sport year after year.
Max Kellerman, even while standing up to one of the most powerful figures in the WBC, is making his position crystal clear. He has openly said that the era of endless belts is finished and that groups like the WBC are hurting boxing. He insists he has years of proof showing his views are honest and not influenced. This isn't a small argument between media and officials. It's a real fight over boxing's future, and Kellerman seems ready to challenge the old system completely. To understand why the WBC president is so upset with him, you have to look at the money he just missed out on. Organizations like the WBC, WBA, and IBF depend on sanctioning fees. If a fighter wants their belt, they must give up a portion of their earnings. For years, fighters simply accepted it as the price of chasing greatness. Then Terence Crawford beat Canelo Alvarez, earned a reported $50 million, and decided he wasn't paying anymore.
Mauricio, got a lot to say about me not paying him $300,000 plus another $100K something for sanction fees, right? Then he gonna tell me I ain't even apologize? Like, who the fuck you think I am? Well, you better slap your fucking self. Ain't paying your ass shit. Fuck you talking about pay you $300,000. What makes you so motherfucking better than any of the other sanctioned bodies? Huh? Answer that question. What makes you better than the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA? Everybody accepted what I was giving them. But you, the WBC, think that you better than everybody, don't you? So since you, the WBC, and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit. The fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker. What are you talking about? You want me to pay you more than the other sanctioned bodies because you feel like you better than them. How in the world all the sanctioned bodies agreed to the same amount, but you sit your motherfucking ass up there and say that I need to apologize to you? The fuck? You can take the fucking belt. It's a trophy anyway.
The WBC still sent Crawford a bill, even after lowering the fee to around 0.6%. They wanted close to $300,000 just so he could keep the green belt he already won. Crawford's answer became an instant classic. He didn't bargain. He didn't ask for extra time. He simply went public and said he wasn't paying anything. He called the belt a trophy and told them they could come pick it up. This was a huge blow to the WBC's authority. When one of the best fighters on the planet treats your title like it means nothing, it sends a message to every other fighter that the belt has no real power. The WBC had to strip him of the title, but the real damage was already done. A pushback had started.
Terence Crawford has been very successful in the ring. He has been a world champion for 12 or 13 years, multiple times with the WBO in super lightweight. He won the WBC super lightweight. Then he unified and became undisputed in welterweight against WBC champion, who was Spence, in a great fight. He petitioned to fight a final elimination bout in super welterweight against Madrimov and remain champion in welter. The WBC supported him. He did not comply with the rules. Then he moves up to super middle and makes the fight of the century, beats Canelo, makes $50 million or around that. The WBC absolutely is not going to charge 3% of such an amount. We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000, with $225,000 going to the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable. Not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route. no response. I wish him the best. But this is not. The WBC is huge, it's great, it's about greatness, and I'm relieved, to tell you the truth.
Max didn't just report the Crawford story. He used it to take aim at the entire idea of sanctioning bodies. On his show, he didn't hold back. He described groups like the WBC not as protectors of boxing, but as something harmful to the sport. It was harsh, but his point was clear. These groups attach themselves to fighters and take their money while giving almost...
The one doing the critiquing is not a journalist. He's not a disinterested party. Disinterested, by the way, doesn't mean uninterested. They're conflated. Disinterested means you're neutral. You're an observer the way a scientist looks at data, right? They can't be rooting for one outcome or another. And this sanctioning body president is not a disinterested party. As he's claiming, I'm not. He has business interests he clearly feels, in my opinion, are threatened by a shifting landscape in boxing. And I am a part of that shifting landscape. It ain't business as usual anymore, where these cancerous sanctioning body cells drain the life out of the sport year after year. Finally, I want to say this. In terms of the thought that based on the identity of my employers, you have to take what I say with a grain of salt. You should. You should consider all these things. You should also judge what I'm saying based on the content of what I'm saying and the truthfulness of it.
Max explained that maybe decades ago these organizations helped bring order, but now they act like middlemen taking cash from the athletes who actually step into the ring. He said fans don't buy tickets to see a belt. They pay to watch fighters like Terence Crawford or Canelo Alvarez. If the fighters bring the value and the fans bring the money, why are these organizations taking such large cuts in between? Max said the old way of doing business is finished. That one comment, calling them harmful to the sport, is what made Mauricio Sulaiman explode.
I said exactly what I'm saying now about Ring Magazine championships and the sanctioning body championships for the past 25 years. I have been employed by Ring Magazine for several months now, but I've been saying the same exact thing I'm saying now for 25 years.
Just pick up Ring Magazine and it says so inside. They list the real champions in each division, and people say, well, what gives Ring Magazine the legitimacy to rank champions? What about the sanctioning bodies? No, the sanctioning bodies have blown it a million ways.
You got receipts?
I got receipts
Let's get it.
posted on Twitter.
When Sulaiman heard Max's comments, he didn't answer with numbers or clear explanations. Instead, he attacked Max's character. In an interview with Fight Hype, Sulaiman laughed off Max's statements, but it was obvious he was bothered. He claimed Max was only talking this way because he now works with the Ring Magazine. The Ring is owned by the Saudi General Entertainment Authority, which is led by His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh.
Max Kellerman spoke with Mr. Khan earlier today in an interview, and they spoke about...
No, please, I will not comment because that is a scripted commentary. Okay. The WBC does not have outlets. They own that outlet, so they can script. And it is so embarrassing how low Max Kellerman, Mike Coppinger, they have gone so low because they do represent the publication. So it is scripted. It's biased completely. So I don't like to comment on that.
Okay. Well,
you are doing an interview. This is not biased. I am answering every single question.
Absolutely.
And I don't owe anything to you. You don't owe anything to me. You ask, I respond. But to talk about a program that is scripted, absolutely not.
Sulaiman's story is that Turki Al-Sheikh wants to replace the old sanctioning groups with his own Super League, and that Max Kellerman is being used to push that plan. By calling Max controlled, Sulaiman is trying to convince fans that Max's opinions aren't real, that he's just saying what his bosses want. It's a smart tactic because it ignores the issues and attacks Max personally. But Sulaiman picked a fight with someone who cares more about language and clarity than almost anyone.
Okay, well, what about the Muhammad Ali Act? They spoke about just it having an option for the fighter to go a different direction, and nothing's going to change. They're just going to add an option where you can fight for another company. You don't have to just stay with the Muhammad Ali Act.
That is not true. That is not true. Fighters have options. They can sign with Golden Boy, with Top Rank, with Iron Tiger, with Queensberry, with Matchroom, with John Doe. Those are the options. and Muhammad Ali Act helps them to have representation, a manager to sit down and negotiate and know the financials of every event. And the Muhammad Ali Act prevents the promoters from having a abuse of power, controlling a fighter, controlling the rankings, controlling a title. The WBC has to disclose many things to the authorities in the United States on every fight, on the rankings every month. It is a big cloud that should be analyzed and put openly, because they're very smart on trying to say they're very smart and everybody's not as they are. It is a very controversial thing that should not be taken lightly.
Max's response showed complete control. He didn't yell. He didn't insult. He simply corrected Sulaiman with a lesson about the meaning of words. Max focused on the idea of bias and explained the difference between uninterested and disinterested. Uninterested means you don't care. Disinterested means you have no personal gain involved. A scientist studying an experiment is disinterested because they only want the truth. Max said he is the disinterested voice. He isn't paid by the WBC or any promoter. He is looking at the facts from the outside. Sulaiman, however, is interested because he has money at stake. By explaining this, Max made himself look like the neutral observer and Sulaiman like the person trying to protect his income.
Terence's criticism of the WBC is very well warranted, okay? The WBC, even though it was corrupt back when Jose Sulaiman would do corrupt things with Don King during his tenure, which was even depicted in The Great White Hype, which you were in, but another story for another day. Samuel L. Jackson being Don King, Jose Sulaiman being Cheech in that movie. That's who they were referencing. But despite all the corruption they've always had, when Mauricio inherited his father's company, he had a position to go the right path and make the WBC stand head and shoulders above the rest as clearly the most prestigious belt. It was the most prestigious belt when he inherited it. And instead, through short-term gain, short-sightedness, greed, and all that, he has put himself in a position now where he is losing deservedly in the court of public opinion against Crawford and, more importantly, TKO. And we'll get to that later on. And just to back up, just to not hold any water for the WBC, there's a picture I'll put up here. I remember in 2021, there was a time I had a WBC calendar, and on the calendar, it had Ryan Garcia with a WBC interim title, Devin Haney with the WBC title, and Teofimo Lopez with the WBC franchise title. And I used to make the joke, what the WBC will do is get 3% of Teofimo Lopez, 3% of Devin Haney, and 3% of Ryan Garcia. We will have 3 WBC champions in the same weight class at the same time!
The strongest part of Max's comeback wasn't the grammar lesson. It was his history. Sulaiman's entire claim depended on the idea that Max is only saying these things now because of the Saudis. But Max brought up his long track record. He challenged anyone to watch his old work from the late 90s on HBO or from 2010 on ESPN. Fans quickly searched the clips. And the truth became clear. Max Kellerman has been criticizing the sanctioning bodies for more than 2 decades. He has always said there should be one real champion in each division and that the belts are basically confusing decorations that can be bought. This destroys Sulaiman's argument. Unless the Saudis went back in time to control Max's old shows, the claim makes no sense. Max isn't saying this because he's paid to. He's saying it because he has believed it his entire career. What changed is that now he has a platform strong enough to influence the sport. And this leads to the real reason behind the fight. It's not truly about Max or even Crawford. It's about the major shift happening with the Saudi-backed takeover. For years, the WBC, WBA, and IBF had all the power because they controlled rankings.
When I was coming up, all the writers would call them trinkets, right? But by Oscar always wearing the WBC, Floyd, Tyson, on and on, the WBC was the romantic title for me that, hey, if I ever became a champion, that's the one I'd want to fight for. But I'm sitting at the press conference yesterday. I'm here in Texas covering Pitbull Roach, which is a WBC interim super lightweight title. And in a couple of weeks, Subriel Matias, who had Osterine in the system, is defending the full title so that Mauricio could get 3% of 2 belts in the same division. And if that isn't egregious enough, because we do know Teofimo Lopez is the super lightweight champion of the world, right? And yet they're trying to convince me this interim title fight is legitimately for the super lightweight champ. I don't know what world they're referencing. Not this one where Teofimo Lopez is the champion. If that wasn't egregious enough, on the undercard is Shane Mosley Jr., who I love Shane Jr., but he's never really been a top 10 in any given weight class. Coming off a career best win, beating Daniel Jacobs, shout out to him. But he's fighting Jesus Ramos, who's accomplished nothing at middleweight, and they got it for a WBC interim world title. And that's when I went, God damn it, they really are trinkets. He really has turned it into this. So Crawford's right, but it's coming at a time where he's holding water for TKO in what definitely looks like a coordinated attack to take out the head, and the rest will follow. Nick Khan went after them in a PR fluff dressed as an interview with Max Kellerman going after the WBC. Yesterday in Congress, the House of Representatives, one of the talking points TKO used was going after the WBC stripping Crawford. Mauricio played right into their hands.
They are making fights based on what fans want, not what the rankings say. They are giving fighters the biggest paydays of their careers, making sanctioning fees look outdated. With talk of a super league that could involve Dana White and TKO, the traditional bodies are facing a serious threat. If the money comes from Riyadh and the real prestige comes from beating top fighters, then what purpose does the WBC serve? That possibility is what worries Sulaiman the most. Max Kellerman is simply the person shining a light on it. The response from the boxing community has been strong and split, showing how deep this divide really is. Some voices, like TalkSport's Adam Catterall, agreed with Max, saying these organizations are outdated money systems. The older guard pushed back. Oscar de la Hoya surprised many by criticizing Crawford, claiming he disrespected the sport and that fees are part of building legacy. Ryan Garcia also attacked Crawford, calling him scared for refusing to pay, putting himself on the side of the traditional groups. Meanwhile, UFC boss Dana White used the situation to argue that boxing's current system is broken and ready for a full overhaul. This is no longer a simple argument. It has become a test for every...
What did you think of the WBC stripping Terence Crawford of his belt?
Listen, if you look at how this thing's playing out, and first of all, let me say this. I love that all these guys, all these boxing guys, love the Ali Act the way it is now. I want to see how many of them actually stay there and do that version of the Ali Act instead of the add-on that we're going to do. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist to see what's going on with all these guys. They're all these guys that are crying the loudest are the fucking problems. They're the problem, every one of these guys. And, Crawford, nobody told Crawford to say anything. Crawford's his own man doing his own thing, and that's how he feels. And we'll see how this thing plays out in the next couple of years.
Are you surprised by this frosty reception from the other boxing promoters?
No, not at all. Not at all.
We are watching a slow but clear clash between boxing's past and its future. On one side are the old groups trying to keep collecting fees for belts that mean less every year. On the other side is a new force trying to treat boxing like one connected league. Max Kellerman chose his side not because someone told him to, but because he sees where the sport is heading. The WBC may have taken Crawford's belt, but in doing so, they may have taken away the little relevance they still had.
Had you told me that 20 years ago at Il Molino, I would think, yeah, but what has this guy done that he thinks he can do that in boxing? But now the track record says, yes, he can do it. You have institutional knowledge of how to do it. And then partnered with Turki Al-Sheikh and Nick Khan, by the way, what I think unites all three of you is you love boxing. Like all three of you guys love boxing. And is that what brought you guys together? Like, I think of boxing for so long, the power brokers a lot of times didn't even like the sport. Is that the unifying thing here?
Yeah, and everybody hated each other in boxing too. Yeah, it's almost like this was meant to happen. I've been talking about it, saying, I'm kicking the tires, I'm looking at it. Timing is everything. And then the way that this whole thing came together, it literally reminds me of every other thing that's happened to me in my life. It's like, this was the time and the place and the right people to make this happen.
What do you think? Is Max Kellerman right that these groups are hurting the sport? Or is the WBC still an important part of boxing's history? That's all for today's video. If you liked it, make sure to like, subscribe,